less likely to get distracted with a filler word. Sometimes I'll do this thing. When someone says a filler word, I'll have everyone snap. And it makes the person go insane the fifth or sixth time, so they stop saying A thought I had while she was doing that is she could have used that space to pause and think for a minute, because this was a one-on-one personal conversation. So there's a little more leeway if you need to stop and think. So she could make it clear that she's going to continue. Next point is, so maybe just kind of take a gulp, just kind of just pause a little bit in a way that makes it clear she's going to move on to the next point. So it's okay to pause. A lot of times people will use a filler word because they can't think of what they want to say fast enough and they're afraid of any dead space at all. Can I answer your question a little bit?
Yes,
Perfect.
thank you.
What about like when you get stuck or when you're about to say what about taking a sip of water? How often can you do that and it be not too much?
That's a good question. I would say you can always pause. A pause is always better than a filler word. And during some of those pauses, you can take a sip of water. I think that's fine. But the space in which a filler word happens, so you're talking on point 1, and your mind hasn't caught up with what point 2 is going to be. So you say that filler word. That happens faster than the time you would take a sip of water. So you wouldn't use that tactic too much. You could certainly use it to slow yourself down and catch your breath as you're transitioning between big points. Other comments?
Thank you. Obviously, a really powerful presentation. I thought maybe one thing that would get a little bit better would be to summarize what her main goals were before she could write down.
Sure. 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 What do you think? Would that have been good for you? My hesitation on that is if you summarize your 4 points, your manager might stop you right there and say, you know what, thank you for coming in. You got your 4 points. I'll think it over. So I could see that's a double-edged sword. Okay, good. So let's move on. Second.
You had a comment?
What you? Oh no. I'm gonna just get over it.
Good evening, guys. Let me just introduce myself. I'm Satwik. I'm from India. So yeah, we have had such great speeches, and I hope to do justice and do well with my 2-minute pitch. So I'm going to speak about the next 10 years is going to be mind-blowing. And the reason for that is the kind of innovations, the kind of technology and scientific innovations that are happening all around the world. Things that were considered as science fiction are now considered as something which are, as part of our lives. Scientists are not only talking about at the nano level, we are just detailing it down to even the picos and femtos and zeptos. By the way, zepto is 10⁻27. So we are going in that detail, and that is the rate at which we are innovating, and technology is exponentially growing. I'll give you 3 reasons as to why the next 10 years are going to be exciting and mind-blowing. First, in the field of biotechnology, we have something called the bionic hands. I'm sure those hands would not break rocks or crush rocks, but then yes, they will be doing simple things like just taking this water bottle. So the best thing about these bionic hands are that they're going to be connected to your brains, and to theories of brain waves, they're going to use these hands. So it's going to be large-scale production, and it's going to be cheap and available to everyone to buy. The next thing is about architecture. We all know that Dubai is known for its architectural marvels and state-of-the-art architecture. And there we are going to witness something called the revolving towers, where the floors, the towers will be having 59 components or floors which will be rotating. So the residents or the inhabitants inside the tower will be seeing a different view in every 6 minutes. That's fascinating. The next thing is in my personal favorite because I come from a computer science engineering background. If you all know about the Moore's law, he said that in every year, the number of transistors that are going to be added into a chip are going to double. But what we didn't know that was, he also predicted that 2020, this law is going to fail. But do you think that law is going to fail? I don't think so. Because scientists are now talking about molecular computing. So it's going to be a bottom-up approach where the molecules and atoms are going to make the chips. So there are exciting times ahead, and there are many more reasons. You can Google out or reach out to me. And so just take 2 things from my speech, 2 words: mind-blowing.
Good. So I want to know when I can buy the bionic hand. When can I buy it? In the next 10 years? Hopefully. Good. Comments for Seth? Sit down.
I think he was looking down a lot. I was facing, started looking at this more engaging with him.
Okay. Yeah, could have benefited from stronger, more consistent direct eye contact.
Not too much pacing.
Too much pacing was a little distracting. What were your thoughts, Seth? Did you have? You said something as you were walking out?
Yeah, I think I didn't do a good job.
You did a great job. You did a great job. Definitely some things we'll talk about. But what do you think you could have done better that you didn't
I think it started off better. When I went from here, I think I was distracted by the thing there, by the lady who raised her hand. And so I went there. The most important thing should be the start should be good. So my starting line was, which I didn't plan. So then I fumbled. So I got distracted. But then I think that situations are going to come and then work on it.
Okay, so you felt like you didn't start off as strongly as you would have liked because you're distracted. Sure. When we get on the scene in the real world at the beginning of our presentation, it's always a little bit different than we planned. So we can rehearse that beginning point because it is important to start strong. But if you don't start strong, you need to be resilient. We'll talk about that emotional intelligence. Even though we make a mistake in the beginning, we need to bounce back. And I think you did fine. You recovered. You didn't tell us, oh my God, I made a mistake, and this is terrible, until the end. Like as you're walking out, you're like, oh, that was terrible. At least you waited until afterwards. My method.
Yeah, I couldn't tell that at all. But I thought like the one thing that covered everything that made him then questionable was the fact that like you were so excited, like he was so into it, like his mind blowing, like he looked like he really was waiting for that.
Yeah, here.
Yeah, he sort of had a passion for it. And
Yeah.
that passion really came out and he made everyone smile.
Yeah, it had a passion, it was exciting, there was interesting stuff. I'm tossing around in my mind, trying to deliberate how I liked his conclusion. Definitely liked it because it was fun and interesting and engaging. But I want to think this through. Is this the conclusion that we're looking for as an audience, as a potential investor in a technology company? I feel like there could have been some work around these are the 3 things that are going to happen, but this is the one thing that's going to happen and it's going to result in these 3 sub-things, or some way to make meaning out of all this interesting stuff. It was a little bit just listing the interesting stuff, which was listing the data, which is what we don't want to do, but you got away with it because it was such cool data. So, does anyone have any thoughts on how he could have brought that together, or should he have brought that together? Maybe, maybe it was good enough. What do you think? Okay.
Well, I think, yeah, the data was really fun, and how he brought it together at the end, I thought personally was okay. But if he related it to what those 3 things would lead to for the audience, that would have made it a lot stronger as a conclusion.
Okay, meaning, value for the audience. So this is what you should do, or this is how it's going to affect your life specifically.
Or like saying you don't have a hand. Bionic hand is going to give you your life back.
Yeah, come on.
I think if he was improvising, he did a really good job. Just staying energetic and, gathering his thoughts and, taking pauses whenever he needed to. I thought that was fine. Maybe he took too many, I don't know. If he was planning it better, he definitely could have brought it together with a stronger, just with a bang, in terms of his conclusion. I thought the mind-blowing part was really good because he had kind of a catchphrase, you remember those people,
Yeah.
And it was short and sweet too, so I thought that was really good. But he had said something like, this is going to revolutionize the 20th century and that kind of stuff, something like that, just bringing it all together. I thought that would have been a little better.
Okay, good. Good comments, good presentation. And I'm glad you shared that with us, that you felt like it didn't go well and wasn't going well. So the audience doesn't see what's going on in your head. You may feel like this is the worst presentation ever. I'm terrible. No one's going to want to be friends with me socially. No one's going to do my job. But the audience doesn't realize that. So you just need to put one foot in front of the other. And I think that all the time. I go to a new engagement, dude, these people are looking at me like they don't see value. They're never ever going to want to hire me again. So I just slowly try to concentrate on moving forward on the presentation. They don't see that inner turmoil. They don't see that fear. So you definitely don't want to confess and say, oh my God, you all must hate me. You just want to keep going forward. All right. Who's next? Blake's next. Who wants to go after Blake? Carrie and Alicia.
Hey everyone, I'm Blake. I'm here to talk to you about ICAP and why it's such a great place to work. So, one of the things that makes ICAP an amazing place to work is that their executive staff and C-level managers are all hired internally. So, if you were at the company for a few years, you're not going to have your position vultured by someone who just joined the firm, which gives you more ability to grow and advance your career. Another great thing about ICAP is that they're very charitable. They have a day that they designate called Charity Day, surprisingly, where all of the global brokerage revenue goes to 200 to 300 charities around the world. So it's very helpful, they're very involved. There's more money being funneled through this company on one day than most companies make in a year. So it's not tens of thousands of dollars you're talking in the millions of billions that they're giving away in one day, which is pretty significant. But their biggest advantage is their business platform that not only processes their trades and their billings, it also complies with sovereign rules and international regulatory policies, ensuring that each transaction that is processed, which there are billions of in a day, are all kosher, adequate, and as they should be. So in sum, because of their promotional structure, their charitable contributions, and their innovative platform, ICAP is an amazing place to work.
Good. I thought it was you were confident, it was direct, it was easy to follow. Overall, it was really good.
Clear and powerful. Christian?
I like how it was concise and very organized. The only thing is, I would like it to be explained a little bit about what the company was in the beginning. I'm not familiar with the company.
Yeah, me too. What's that? Is it a VC firm?
I'm sorry?
What is ICAP?
It's a commodity broker for interest rate swaps and commodity brokerage. So they're based out of the UK, and so if you're looking to buy like $500 worth of orange juice, you can do that through them.
Arun Preet. Is that right? That's your name? Did I say your name right? Great conclusion, great presentation. I would have liked more explanation at the beginning, but maybe you didn't need it because you're talking to a group of people who know what the company is and are applying for the company. Gestures were good. They were engaged. They were just, it's like you were halfway there. You're kind of using your hand gestures here. It's like they were like engaged, but halfway engaged. It's like you had great hand gestures going on here. So I don't want to, maybe when we do this body language exercise, think about bringing your hands up here and bring a full upper body hand gesture engagement. Good, let's move on. Carrie.
I'm going to turn my computer here just in case. Good evening, everybody. You guys doing all right tonight? It's a long day.
I'm going to share a little bit of a personal story to you guys. I'm going to talk about how coming back to the United States and attending Rutgers Business School was a great decision for me on a personal basis and also on a professional basis. So around 7 years ago, around this time, I graduated from high school in Manhattan, and I decided that I wanted to go to school at McGill University, which is in Montreal, Canada. So I did that for about 3 years and graduated after that. And I decided that I want to take my career globally. So I left Canada for China. And I worked there for about 4 years. And so 3 plus 4 is 7. So 7 years. I just came back around this time last month. And I realized that I wanted to go to school. And the reason why I would go to school personally is because I have this ambition that I want to complete my MBA, as well as I've been so far away from home. I've been in North Jersey for about 7 years. I come to visit my parents and also have a little brother who's just turned 12, as well as I have my friends. I know so many people here that I'm missing out. So that's my personal basis. On a professional basis, I really think Rutgers University was the right school for me. I'm a New Jersey kid, and I grew up in the city as well. Many employers within the Tri-State area all know Rutgers, and I believe that this will help me transition very well to being able to work back in the United States as I worked 4 years overseas. With that being said, Rutgers is also one of the best schools in terms of employment and rankings. And I believe that with hard work, everything will pay off. So this is why I think coming back to the States and attending Rutgers Business School was great for me on a personal and a professional basis. So thank you, everybody.
Good comments for Jerry? Yes, Ricky?
I thought you did a very good job with not too much movement. I did notice that like sometimes I could tell you were concentrating because you didn't move your eyes. But I mean, but other than that, I thought everything was really good. And yeah.
Good, great.
I thought this was interesting. I haven't seen this done a lot of times, but when he was trying to emphasize a point, he actually got quieter, which made me listen a little bit more.
Good. I wasn't conscious of that, but yeah. Anyone else notice that?
Question, what was it?
When he was trying to make an important point, he got quieter.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have a question.
Yeah.
Today we got 2 types of speech engines. Someone like Jay, which is full of energy, and someone like Harry, which is very quiet, just like the one conversation. So which one is better? Or what kind of situation we should use one of them?
What do you all think?
It depends on the topic. Like this topic was to encourage people to go for a recycling, whereas this topic was about himself. So you can even go softly with Jay.
Yeah, I'd say it depends on the topic, depends on the audience. I agree with what you're saying. Come on.
I thought that the conclusion was spot on. I mean, conclusion was spot on at the beginning and end. He mentioned the fact that it was personal and a professional level, and he reiterated that. And going back to what Anubhuti was saying about the presentation, I thought he could have projected a little bit better. Even though you're telling a personal story, doesn't mean you shouldn't project yourself better. I mean, emotional parts you can make louder or project yourself better and still come off as a successful presentation.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. A couple things that were going on from a physicality standpoint that I noticed is he was inching back a little bit. Kind of kept inching back, and then he would come forward a little bit and then inch back. And so I think maybe you ended the presentation maybe a couple feet back from where you started, and it almost looked like you were scared, trying to get away. And that drew attention to the fact that your eye contact was a little sporadic. Anyone notice where he looked most of the time? Yeah, he looked at me most of the time. And then I almost got the sense as he was inching back, and I saw a little fear in the eyes, and looking over at me, it's like, is this good enough? Is this going to affect my grade? The value, though, is out here. These are the folks that are going to relate to your presentation because they're going through the exact same thing. And they're going to benefit from your experience. So think about the value I have to offer is how this worked for me and how it's helping me. I'm sure you'll share that experience. I'm sure you've shared that experience. You've thought about these things. Take something from that. So thinking about the audience value, I think, would have helped you a lot. Okay, let's switch.
So is anybody in the midst of planning a wedding right now? Yeah? Oh, all right. Anybody really excited to start planning a wedding eventually? Okay, well, it's very exciting. It is. One of the best things about planning a wedding is the honeymoon, right? Yeah, you want to go away, relax a little. So when you're planning a honeymoon, you always come to the question of where are we going to go, right? But a question you have to also think about is when do you go on your honeymoon? Do you want to go immediately following the wedding? Or do you want to wait a little bit of time, relax maybe or something, and then go on your honeymoon? So I'm here to tell you, wait a little while, relax a little bit, and then go on your honeymoon. You might want to hang out with your friends and family who've come all the way to see you, to watch that day, to spend that weekend with you. They might want a little extra time with you. You also might want to finish all your follow-up items, open those gifts. You want to see how much you got from people, right? You want to send your thank yous out, get them done, so you don't have to worry about it when you get back from your honeymoon. You may also want to relax, de-stress, and remember why you're doing all of this, right? Because it might get stressful when you're actually doing the planning, and then you can go on your honeymoon, relax, and have a great time. So first, following up and hanging out with your family, right? So you want to hang out with the family, reminisce about what just happened the night before or the couple nights before, look at the pictures you all took. If you have a photo booth, let me tell you, you need a second one when you're going through your photo booth pictures because they are hilarious. You might want to talk with your own family about how your mother-in-law now was doing the worm on the dance floor. I mean, really? Come on. So that's one definite reason why you might want to wait to go on your honeymoon. The second reason you might want to wait is you have all the follow-ups. You have to do your thank yous. You have to finish all your payments if you didn't do that. Make sure you tipped everybody correctly. You might want to do all your vendor reviews. The florist was amazing. You got great reviews on the florist from all your family members who came to see you. Finish all that up before going on the honeymoon. Third reason, you might want to just relax. Take a few minutes to yourselves. Remember why you did this, and you might have wanted to kill each other for a couple days leading up to the wedding, right? So take the time, relax, de-stress, and really plan that honeymoon the way you want it because it's going to be amazing, I'm sure. I'm waiting, so I don't know if it's going to be amazing, but I really hope so. So in conclusion, as you can see, it's definitely worthwhile to wait and not take your honeymoon right away. Do your follow-ups, hang out with your family and friends for a couple extra days, and de-stress, relax, and remember why you did it all.
She seemed very confident, and you could tell that it was coming from like something that she's trying to experience.
Yeah, confident in her own personal experience, great clear conclusion supported by some clear points. One thing I noticed from a physicality is that there was great engagement with the eye contact and the hand gestures, and some movement that kept it lively. I think it was just a little bit too much. There's like this box that we were working in this corner. So maybe spread it out a little bit to over here, stabilize for a while. So great movement, and just think about controlling it a little bit. And I'm going to move on and not take more comments now because I want to keep getting through. I'm going to do a couple more before we start by hand gestures. So let's go next. Alina and Sadar.
I'm just going to try to wing this. I want to first come to you all today and let you know that before I even get started, I want to say that being a mother is always a difficult job. There are days that you feel like you just climbed Mount Everest, and there's sometimes that you feel like you have to. But with that in mind, has anyone thought about who has it best or worse? Is it the single mother with children, or is it the married mother with children? Does anyone have an opinion on that? Can I ask you, or you?
Probably single mother.
You think single as well? Anybody else have an opinion?
Single.
Which one has it worse, harder, or difficult? That's great. The husband or the father father of the child, which is true. So thanks for saying that, because I do want to point out the single mother I'm speaking of has never lived with the father of her child, and the father does pay child support. So let's be clear on that. But I do want to tell you that there are 3 reasons why I feel that the married woman has it worse than the single mother, contrary to what the stereotypes are. The married woman has it worse. The first reason, the married woman doesn't have the support system that the single mother has. People always feel sorry for the single mother. Oh, she's a single mother. You even hear them blurting it out on TV, or I'm a single mother. A lot of married women feel like they're single mothers too. Let's just put that out there. The husbands are gone, they're working, and the family feels like, well, it's 2 of y'all. I don't have to help. Y'all figure this out. You guys are stable, committed, or what have you. So that's generally how that works. So the first one is, like I said, the lack of support. As we all know, like the African proverb says, it does take a village to raise a child. You need help from outside resources, whether it's your family or community members. You can't do it completely by yourself. Everybody needs help. You're not on an island. The second reason why I feel that the married mothers do have it worse is because when you're married, you always got to work it out. There's always a debate when it comes to the kids. You always got to figure out, I don't care what type of decision it is, it can be an argument. It can be that I don't want my son to eat pork, or I don't want my kids to eat pork, or the mother could be saying, you know what, you're not pushing them enough. I need you to raise the bar. Everything turns into a confrontation. When you're single, guess what? You don't have that. That's it. The kids aren't pitting mommy against dad. It's over with. There's a clear expectations of rules, and that's that. So that's the second reason. You're not arguing. It's less stress because you don't have that argument there between yourself and your spouse or your children. You already know. The third reason is you don't have the expectation. You don't have to deal with the divorce. You don't have to make it work. When you're single, you know, you never set that expectation up for your kids. They never saw it. If you never lived with their dad, they're not questioning you. They already know. But when you're married, you have set that expectation up. Generally, well, I know in my household, when my kids ask me where babies come from, God put the baby in my stomach. Until they get older. You know what I mean? So I have the expectation of telling them, and they live by what they see. They believe that marriage is the way to go from what they see in our household. So I'm not saying that the single parents aren't telling their kids that they should get married, but if we announce divorce after teaching our children that marriage and family is so important, and you have to be there for this one. Me and Daddy, we go through arguments, but we come back and we work it out. And I'm glad that you see how I work it out. I expect you to do that with your sister. I expect you to do that with your brother. That's what we do. So imagine if I had to come in and announce, I can't work it out, we're getting a divorce. Mommy, you're a liar. Again, like I said, married women do have it harder. There's no support system because everybody thinks we have it. The second reason was that there is support system. There's no support system. The constant arguing over anything, big or small. You were supposed to get here at 8:05, not 8 o'clock. And lastly, it's the having the fear of having to announce here comes the divorce, that you have to make it work. So everybody, remember that in closing, the married woman is not always this perfect picture that you see on Leave It to Beaver. It can be quite different. And like my classmate said, it also does depend on who you marry. Thank you.
Awesome. Comments?
I like how passionate she was about it. Like towards the end, you really got into it, and you're like moving around, and I could just really tell you were interested in the topic. So.
Yes. Yes, Rick.
I really liked how you never said it. Like I could tell you were thinking, but you canceled it with the point. Like you did a really good job of just stopping, thinking, and it sounded really good.
Yeah, I agree with that. Notice at the end when she forgot the second point, she just paused. That was okay, right? And you may not have noticed it, but at the beginning, when she started with the first point, she forgot the first point too. Did anyone catch that one? But it was very, very quick. She just paused for a minute, collected herself, and then went on with the first point. That's okay, right? And as an audience, we're absorbing this information for the first time, so a pause helps us absorb it. Gives us a minute to think it over. Doesn't hurt us. You don't need to you don't need to use a filler word. You don't need to make a nervous gesture. Let's not. Okay, fine.
Well, she was really good. I mean, she was full of emotions in her speech. But I have one question that while concluding, is it advisable to give any examples while in your conclusion? Because when she was looking down the conclusion, she just went in the flow and she just did out an example.
An example in the conclusion. What are you asking?
Yeah, like she's done with taking off her premises and now
Okay.
it's time to conclude. In the conclusion, again, are we expected to give the example?
Did she give an example in the conclusion?
So in the argument section, she said that they come late and start arguing.
Oh, wait, so she gave examples in each of the 3 points, but are you?
Again, while conclusion, she gave an example. I'm just asking whether it is advisable to give it or
What was the example she gave in the conclusion?
Since she forgot the second point while she was summarizing it in the end, she took a pause and then she gave an example.
Okay.
They argue whether E8 or 805.
I thought the examples were good. They strengthened her arguments. I'm missing something, and there was an example she gave at the conclusion, so I don't exactly understand. But I thought on the whole the examples were good, and sure. And if you want to throw in an example that sums up the conclusion, I wasn't distracted by anything she said, although I don't remember exactly what you're referring to. I might have to roll the tape back. Let me move on to talk about body language and how we can make that better. And Siddharth will start with you later. So, okay. So we're going to move on to a slightly different section of class. I'm going to explain some things about body language, how we use body language. We're going to do a couple of group exercises. I may have a couple of people who went before now come back up again to see some improvement, and then we'll continue on. We've talked about. Did you have a question, Christian?
I just don't know. Did everyone get to present? Because I didn't do that.
Oh no. Everyone has a present.
Okay, all right.
We've gone through about
Okay.
12 or so.
Yeah.
We're good. All right. So I want to add some things for us to think about, because for the last 12 or so, we've just been talking about. We've talked about the physicality, but we haven't talked about it with any sort of framework. So I want to provide some sort of framework where we can discuss physicality, discuss eye contact, and how it helps us. So with that, let's start with body language. Specifically, we'll talk about hand gestures. And I want to pose the question to you. How do hand gestures and how does that type of body language help us during a presentation?
Helps you keep your thoughts going. So when you're talking, with the whole hand gesture, like my brain's running at the same time. Like if I stop my hand gesture, I'll probably forget.
You stop moving, you stop thinking. I feel like I've heard something like that before, but it's not the most. It's not the most common thing I hear. Sometimes it connects you with your thoughts. It maybe tells the story. So it's like the story's in my hand, and if I stop making hand gestures, I would forget.
Yeah.
Okay, great, Matthew.
Keeps eyes on you. Like if you see somebody moving, you're like, oh.
Yeah. Visually entertains. Yes. Visually entertains the audience, and when you're not standing, when you're standing just without moving, your audience's eyes might wander. Amol?
I thought that it helps engage the audience, and as well as it's kind of weird to just keep your hands at your side if you're just not doing anything with them. But I feel like it also engages the audience. It makes you feel like you're a part of the conversation or whatever the presentation you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with Mike.
Helping the point or kind of a list. You were doing before, like 1, 2,
3. Absolutely.
Keep the audience on track.
Yes, Carrie.
It shows your expression as well, how you're expressing yourself in ways you use your hands.
Shows a little bit of emotion. Shows whether you're excited or whether you're not excited. Okay, excellent. excellent point. So it shows us content, helps illustrate content, shows our audience whether or not we're excited, engages our audience, visually entertains our audience. So we want to use hand gestures. We want to use controlled gestures. We want to avoid nervous movements. I mentioned to a couple people that their movements were a little bit nervous. We want to control them. And we want to use movements that are natural and appropriate to our content. That's the metric that I use when I train people on gestures. Natural and appropriate to our content. No one disagrees with me on that definition. The trouble is, how do we get natural gestures? Because when we're up here, we're giving a presentation, we're nervous. We forget sometimes what we do naturally. So I've got a couple of exercises I want to take us through, which will loosen up our hand gestures. And again, this is going to be a little interesting. I'm going to think about how we're all going to fit. So let's go ahead and stand up, shake out the arms. Let's form I want to see if we can form kind of a circle that's going to go from here to maybe through the row that Alicia's standing in. And it's going to be like a circle, like, yeah. So, like, yeah, come this way. So the circle starts here, it goes through that row, comes down here. Yeah, so we need this part of the circle. Is this enough room? So, all right, let's go back. So go back a row. Everybody, let's go back a row, give us a little bit more room. Is this good? Okay. All right, so this first exercise I like to do is called Zip, Zap, Zoom. What we're going to do is pass around this imaginary ball of energy. We're going to think about holding it carefully with our hands and using our hands to express that ball of energy. So we'll do it with a clap. We'll like clap our hands and say zip. And that's the first part of it. And when we get that, I'll explain the next part. So it's going to be like a zip. I'm going to pass that zip to Michael, and it's going to pass it along all the way around the circle. Does that make sense? All right, so let's just try it and you'll see. All right, zip. 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 Okay, good. All right, so let's think about getting that going a little bit faster. Maybe a nice bend in the knees, engagement, ready to receive that information and pass it quickly. So as fast as we can do this. Ready? Zip, 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 zip. I feel like that's my Yeah, excellent. So the next thing is that anyone at any point can switch the direction of energy by saying zap in the other direction. Alright, so Blake, nice bend in the knees, like you're ready. Yeah, there we go. Good engagement. So we're going to go zip all the way to Blake. Blake is going to go zap back at Allie, and then we're going to go zip the other direction. Make sense? Yeah. Okay. Zip, 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 zap, zap, zip. Oh, you guys are good. Third thing, anyone at any point can say zoom to someone across the circle. You can't say zoom to someone right next to you. You can say zoom to anyone else, however.
How do you point though?
You need to make good eye contact and be clear with your gesture. When you get zoomed, you restart the zip in a direction of your choosing. Okay. So let's go zip all the way to Blake. Blake is going to go zap back at Allie, and the zip's going to come back to Daniel. And Daniel is going to zoom to someone of his choosing, and then we'll continue it from there. Make sense?
Zip, zap, zap,
zoom. Zip.
zip,
zap.
Right, that's where to go. So, yeah, they're not that way.
Oh,
wait.
Zoom.
Zoom.
Ooh.
Zip, zip, zip.
Zip.
Zip. Zoom.
Zoom wall's gone.
I don't know.
off again. Zip one direction or the other.
Okay, zip.
Zip.
Zap.
Zap.
Zip.
Zip.
You said zip.
You said zap, you went back to me, so I said zip to you.
If you're going in the same direction, you're supposed to say the same word in the same direction.
Zip. You said zip, right?
Yeah, I said zip. No, she thought that if you zap it, you're supposed to say zap across.
Yeah, yeah.
No.
Zap is only one time. It's only a one-time
Okay,
transition.
I'm sorry.
No,
I'm sorry.
Good clarification.
Okay, well, zip.
Zoom.
Okay. Zoom. Once you get zoomed, you can't zoom. You have to zip. Alright. Hold on when I'm nice and bend your knees. This is like a heavy ball of energy you need to pass back and forth.
Zip.
Alright?
Zip.
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 Zip. Zip.
Zip.
Zoom.
Zip.
Zoom.
Zip. Zap. Zip.
Zap.
Zoom.
Zip.
Zip.
Zip. Zap.
Zip.
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 Zip. Zip.
Zap.
Zap. Zip.
Okay, good. Alright, you got that specific. Don't lean on the pole. We're doing a speech, you don't want to lean on the pole. So this is like transferring the important information to us, the audience. Alright, so we're going to start the elimination round. Make a mistake, you're out. Now think about just good, balanced, athletic position. You're ready to transfer information to and from, and receive information from the audience. And I'll step out of the circle and let Michael start us off.
Zip. 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 Zoom.
Zip. Zip.
Zap.
Zip. Zip. Zip.
Zip. Zap. Zip. Zip.
Zip. Zip.
Zip.
Zip.
Zip. Zap. Zip.
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 Zip. Zoom.
Zip. Zip. Zap. Zip. 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 Zip.
Zoom.
Zip.
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 Zip. Zip.
Zap.
Zip. Zip.
Zip.
Zip.
Zip. Zip.
Zap.
Zip. Zip.
Zoom. Zip. 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 Zap. Zip. 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 Zoom.
Zip. You guys are you freeze out? Okay, so don't stand in the middle, stand back. Okay, you all are. Alright, start us off. Zip. 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 Zip.
Zip.
Zip. Zoom.
Zip.
Zip.
Zip. Zip.
Zip. Zip. Zoom. Zip. Zip. Zap. Wait, what happened?
He said zap.
Starts off, man.
Zip. 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 Zap. Zip. Zip. Zip.
Zip. Zip.
Zap.
Zap. Zap.
Zoom.
I forgot what I didn't see. Who's it? I'll get it.
That's it.
Sorry. Starts off. Does it make sense? Is there a question?
No, I don't feel.
Right, integrity of the game is important. Right? If there's any questions, I will answer. Starts off.
Zip.
Zip. Zip. Zip. Zap. Zip. Zoom.
Zip. Zip.
Zip. Zip.
Zip.
Zap.
Good
Zip.
job.
Zip.
Starts off. Patricia, right? Yeah, starts off. Gracie. Sorry, Gracie.
Zip.
Zip. Zoom. Zap.
Oh wait. Zip.
Oh, zip. Zip.
Zip. Zip.
Zip. Zap. Zip.
Zip.
Zip. Zip.
Zip. Zip. Zip. Zoom.
Zip. 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 Zap. Zip. 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 Zap. Zip. 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 Zoom. Zip. 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 Zip.
Zip.
Zip. Zip. Zip. Zip.
Zip.
Zap.
Zip. Zip.
Zip.
Zap. Zip.
Zip. Zoom.
Zip.
Zoom. Zip. 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 Zip.
Zip.
Zip.
Both got it, up and down.
Alright, Blake. Well, you're leaning, you start leaning to the side. I want like, you gotta do your best here. I want to see like a slight bend in the knees. I want you to bring your hands fully up here. I'm using your hands that like this. I want the hands right here. You're throwing something heavy in. Alright, start us off, Blake.
Zip.
There you go.
Zip. Zip.
Zip like that. Watch out.
Zip. 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 That.
Yeah.
Zoom. Zip. 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 Zap. Zip. 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 That. Zip. Zip.
Zoom.
Zip. Zip.
Zip.
Starts off, Jay.
Zip. 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 Zoom. Zip. 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 Zap. Zip. Zip. Zap. Zip. Zoom.
Zip.
Zip. Zip. Zoom. Zip. Zip. Zap. Zip. Zoom.
Zip. Zip.
Zip. Zap. Zip. Zip.
Zip.
Zip. Zap. Zip.
Yeah.
Zip. Zip.
Zip. Zoom.
That's why. Alright, starts off.
Zip. Zip. Zap.
There you go.
Zip. Zoom.
Zip. Zip.
Zip. Zip. Zap. Zip. Zip. Zip.
Zip.
Zip. Zip. Zip. Zip. Yeah. Zip. Zip. Zip.
Zoom.
You can't do something sitting next to you. Stand right.
Zip. 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 Zip.
Zip. Zip.
Zip. Zip. Zip. Zip. Zip. Zip. Zip.
Zip.
Zip. Zip. Zip.
Zoom.
Zip. 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 Zip.
Zip. Zip.
Zap.
Zip.
Zip. Zip. Zip. Zip.
Zoom.
Zip. Zip.
Zip.
Zip. Zoom.
Just balance zoom. You're just kind of throwing away the zoom. Like, trying to get away. It's like engage, knee bend, and push the zoom. Okay, starts off, Jason.
Zip. Zip.
Zip.
Zip. Zip. Zip.
Zoom.
Zip.
I wasn't sure if you were like that. I thought it was like that, right?
Alright, it was confusing. Alright, okay, fine. No, Blake, stand. Starts off. That wasn't correct. Starts off.
Zip. 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 Zip.
Zip. Zip.
Zip. Zap. Zip.
Zip.
Zip. Zoom.
There you go, Jason.
Zip.
That next.
Zip. 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 Zoom.
Zip.
Zip. Zip. Zoom.
Zip.
Zip. Zip. Zip. Zip.
Zap.
Zip. Zip. Zoom. Zip. Zip. Zap.
Zip.
Zip. Zip. Zip. Zip. Zip. Zip. Zap. Zip. Zip. Zoom.
Zip.
Zip. Zip. Zip. Zip.
Zip.
Zip. Zoom. Zip. Zap.
Zip.
Zip. Zap.
Zip.
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 Zip. Zip. Zap. Zip. Zip.
Zoom.
Zip. Zip.
Zip. Zip. Zap. Zip. Zip.
Zip.
Zip. Zip. Zip. Zap. Zip. Zip. Zoom.
Zip.
Zip. Zap. Zap.
You all are doing this so well, I'm going to have to post any delay whatsoever will get you bounced from the game. So I'm going to have to be fast. Right, start off.
Zip. Zip. Zip.
Zip.
Zip. Zap. Zip.
Zip. Zip.
Zip. Zoom.
Yeah.
Zip. 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 Zip.
There.
Zip.
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 Zip. Zip.
Zip. Zip.
Zoom. Zip.
Zip.
Zap.
Zip.
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 Zap.
Zip.
Zoom. Zip. 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 Zoom.
Zip.
Zip. Zip. Zip.
Zip. Zoom.
Zip.
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 Zap.
Zip.
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 Zap.
Zip. Zip.
Zoom.
Zip. Zip.
Zip.
Zoom.
Zip.
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 Zoom.
Zip. Good, dude. Stop for a minute. All right. This is intense, right? Look at the body language of all the people who are playing right now. They're like forward, engaged with their audience, ready to transfer important information. This is the kind of body language I want you to bring to your presentation. You all are so good, we're going to have to stop this exercise because it's going to take the next half an hour to get it out. So give yourselves a hand. Stay standing. This next exercise is called space substance. It gives you a chance to create an imaginary object in your hands. So as you're giving a presentation, as you're describing something in your hands, the more vivid, the more real you can make that for your audience, the more engaged you will be in telling the story, and the more entertaining it will be for your audience. So I'm going to take you through a process where I'm going to ask you to create something imaginary in your hands and see how that affects your body language. Make sense? So I'm going to have you just aimlessly walk around, loosen up the shoulders a little bit. So go ahead and start this aimless walk around, and I will verbally guide you through this process. It's been a long day, just played an intense game, got the adrenaline going. Shake out the shoulders. All right, now I want you to imagine, or reach down and pick up an imaginary ball. And as you do that, I want you to make some decisions. Keep walking around with this ball. I want you to decide how heavy this ball is. Decide if it is made of cloth, rubber, plastic, how it feels in your hand. What type of ball it is. Good. Alicia doesn't have a very heavy ball. That's fine. Oh, there we go, Jesse. Yeah, I see something in your hands there, Jesse. That's great. Gracie, I'm really seeing it. Okay. Yeah,
you can't move it.
Good, Carrie. All right. Try to keep the chatter to a minimum, otherwise it's just going to get too crazy too quickly. I'll guide you through this. Imagine me the voice of creation as you're creating this ball. All right. So as you're playing with this ball, I want you to imagine all of a sudden it gets a little heavier. All right, why don't you pick up another ball? That's great. Pick up one that's a little lighter. All of a sudden this gets a little heavier. What does that do for your biceps? Does that make you lean forward a little bit, Blake? Yeah? Does that make your knees bend a little bit, Blake, because you've got this heavy thing in your hands?
A little bit.
Excellent. All right. Now all of a sudden it starts to get a little bigger for some reason. Maybe it's a little odd why it gets bigger. You just you're like, this is weird. This thing in my hand is getting a little bigger and a little heavier. I'll run through that. Doesn't look very heavy. There we go. There we go. Right, now in addition to getting heavier and getting, what else did I say? Heavier and bigger, it's getting wet. All of a sudden it's getting wet for some reason. Yeah, that's what you would do, Gary. Like, if this gets wet, you might push it away from your body a little bit, Alec. Yeah. Maybe imagine there's kids around or classmates around and you're afraid if you drop it it's going to explode or something. So you have to hold on to it, but you want to get it away from you. Yeah. Think about how that's affecting your body. A little bend in the knees there, Jim? Excellent. Excellent. Let's toy with that for a minute. All right, go ahead and put that on the ground. Let it dissolve into the ground. Now it's safe. Shake that off. All right, let's go ahead and get back into our circle. All right, so I saw some good objects there. All right, some objects that were real, and then when I saw them, it made me more interested in what was going on, what sort of story you were telling. Let's continue that exercise to add a little audience interaction with that same type of thing. We're going to throw around an imaginary ball. So, Alicia, I'm going to have you pick up an imaginary ball. And as you do that, you'll make a decision about how big it is. And just throw it around to one of your classmates. And when Alicia throws it to you, throw it to someone else. There we go. Matthew. Good job, Blake. Oh. Good. Shinfi, why don't you pick up another one for us? Different size, completely different ball. All right, a little bigger. See how heavy it is? Oh.
won't leave the ball.
Always seems to get real heavy.
Oh yeah. Wait, I'm gonna stop you for a minute. I really saw it. I saw something transfer between you all, and I saw Alicia throw something really heavy, and I saw Michael catch something really heavy. You notice how interesting that is when we actually visualize it? Instead of, oh, here it is. This is the ball. All right? Now Michael still has something in his hand. He's like waiting, wondering what to do with it. He's bringing that object to life for us. So go ahead and drop that ball, Michael, and pick up another one of your choosing, and let's throw it around fast. Fast, Jim. Good, good. Okay, give yourselves a hand. Excellent. So what can we take from those exercises to improve our body language during a presentation?
Just be conscious of what your body's actually doing.
Yeah. All right, so that imaginary object brings your consciousness to it. You think about what's happening with your hands. They're deliberate movements that mean something and help your speech rather than nervous movements. What else?
Your body language should also be interpreted to this other person. Like if I'm throwing a ball, the other person should know that.
Yeah, clear for the audience what you're trying to do with your hands. Fantastic. What else? Blake?
Well, I'd say the easier part was really like the actual passing of the ball. Like most of the time, is you're distracted from what to anticipate. Is it being zipped or zapped? Which way? So.
Okay, so the zip zap zoom. How did that help you with your?
Like in his speech, you're delivering something. You're not anticipating anything.
Okay. Okay.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I get it. I think the zip zap zoom helps us think about interacting with our audience. It also helps us think about transferring something physically. So we pretend that we have this ball of energy, but when we're giving a presentation, we're transferring important information. So we can use that as a metaphor, a symbol, to help us do that physically. What do you think, Satvik?
Yeah, I guess that is what we are able to relate with the audience, and the kind of gestures, as you were mentioning, the kind of gestures which we are giving, the audience are able to relate to that.
Yes, yes. Okay, so did you feel like doing that space substance exercise helped you get more stable, controlled body language?
Yeah, and also our mind was alert. So.
Yes, yes. Good. Okay, so why don't you try your speech again, Satvik? Everybody else sit down.
He's like, oh man.
All right, so good start, good zip zap zoom position, facing the audience.
Zip zap zoom.
All right, go for it.
Okay, so the world is going to be mind-blowing in the next 10 years.
Let me stop you for a minute. Okay, so feet stable, just like when we're doing zip zap zoom. All right, you're interacting with your audience, but your feet are always stable during that zip zap zoom. So stable feet. All right, give the audience a little zip to start out your presentation.
Okay.
Good.
Okay, so the world is going to become a mind-blowing place in 10 years to come. Things that we felt were science fiction, few years back or 10, 15 decades back, now things have become reality and we are using them. Science is growing at a very rapid pace and technology is also evolving because of that.
Okay, good. I'm going to stop you there. What do we think of the difference between his first run and this run?
It's a lot smoother and he's more confident and calm, very calm.
Yeah. He's calmed himself down, I think, by having a stable body position, and we're able to concentrate on what he's saying. And his gestures are more controlled. He's still using gestures, but they're accenting important parts in his speech. Would you all agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Blake, did you like it when I said get more into that exercise of the zip zap zoom? Did it mean something to you?
I like that idea to feel more, less rigid.
Okay, all right. Can we try your presentation again?
Sure.
Okay.